Sam Cressy.
Here.
Sorry, Nick Triola.
Here.
Chris Torti.
Here.
Dale Freeman.
Here.
Kathleen White-Gaddich.
Here.
Given that this is our first meeting of the year, our first order of business is the election of officers. Do I have a motion for President of the Planning Commission?
I move that Chris Doherty be the president of the commission.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Freeman. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations. Carrie, could you poll the Planning Commission, please?
Chris Chamrose.
Yes.
Murray Wynn.
Yes.
Woody Emmons.
Yes.
Chris Dabalski.
Yes.
Sam Cressy.
Yes.
Nick Triola.
Yes.
Dale Freeman.
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich.
Yes.
Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. And we'll go ahead and do the vote for Vice President. Do I have a nomination? I would like to nominate Dale Freeman.
I would second that nomination.
Carrie, would you poll the commissioners?
Chris Chamrose.
Yes.
Woody Emmons.
Yes.
Chris Dabalski.
Yes.
Sam Cressy.
Yes.
Nick Triola.
Yes.
Chris Torti.
Yes,
Kathleen White-Gaddich.
Yes.
Yes.
congratulations. Wonderful. Welcome commissioners, staff, petitioners, and citizens to the January 11th Mishwaka Planning Commission meeting. I'll introduce the staff. We have Ken Prince,
Chief Cook and Bottle Washer. That's my title.
yes. I didn't change things around, so Ken, why don't you do the introductions of the staff? And I'll
Great,
take some
thank
better
you.
notes.
So we had a restructuring of the department at the end of the year. I am currently the director of the department. Derek Spear is the new city planner. Carrie Myers is still the administrative planner. And Shad Annis is our new associate planner. Krista Hill decided to be in Disney World, is our new senior planner.
And we have David Bent, who's our legal counsel. We called roll, so let's go over the rules of procedure. They're up on my left. We'll hear first a presentation by the petitioner. For each item, we will ask those participating in the room to speak first, followed by those participating online. And keep in mind, we do all of our speaking at the podium, so it can all be on the microphone and everybody can hear. So we don't like to have the banter back and forth, and we'll give everybody plenty of time to speak at the microphone. Those who wish to speak in favor of the request will then get a chance to speak. Those who wish to speak against the request will get a chance to speak. And if you have questions and you're not sure whether you're speaking for or against and you just want some questions answered, I would have you come up during the against the request. And then we'll gather all the questions and concerns and we'll give the right of rebuttal to the parishioner or to the petitioner to answer petitioner to answer all the questions. Then we'll have a commission discussion and then we will vote on it. So that brings us to the previous minutes, which were distributed to all the commissioners. Were there any changes or corrections to those?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Is there any conflict of interest with any notes on or any items on the agenda tonight by the commissioners? Hearing none, that brings us to the first item on the agenda, which is public hearing, petition 21-21. A petition submitted by VFW Mishwaka Post 360 seeking to rezone the northeast corner of Jefferson Boulevard and Maplehurst Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Multifamily Residential District for 8 residential homes and accessory buildings. Note that this was continued from December 14th meeting. Hi.
Good evening. Greg Sharon, 1643 Commerce Drive, South Bend, Indiana, with Dan Turner Associates. Here tonight representing VFW Mishwaka Post 360, which is the owner of the property located at the northeast corner of Jefferson Boulevard and Maplehurst Avenue. The property is currently vacant. What is proposed is a development for veterans The project will consist of 8 single residential units, approximately 300, 400 square feet, kind of apartment, efficient apartment type unit for transitional veterans. The project, like I said, eight units, central, around a central courtyard. I had James Merritt here tonight, who is representing and spearheading the project. He'll come up and talk more about the specifics of the project and the organizations and the housing. The request here is to rezone from R1 to R1 single-family residential to R3 multifamily residential to allow the multi-unit housing on the project. So if James wants to come up and speak up.
Well, first off, is there any questions for Mr. Sharon? Okay, thank you. Come on up.
Do you have me? Yes.
Good evening. Jim Metherd, Metherd, 10291 Charles Street, Osceola, Indiana. Thank you for this opportunity. I was here about a year and a half ago, June of 20, presenting the same idea at a different property directly to the west of the VFW, which was unanimously approved. But for about a $400,000 savings, we have decided to pursue purchasing property that's owned by the VFW directly across the street, which is represented in the illustration there. What we intend to do, we intend to be the state of Indiana's first tiny house veteran village. There's only 3 in the nation right now. We want to provide transitional housing for homeless veterans. We have approximately 70 veterans either living in facilities or on the streets in St. Joseph County right now. We want to start with taking care of 8 of them, providing anything from educational benefits to financial assisting, employment, spiritual. They're going to be working in the community, truly an opportunity for them to get back on their feet and become a meaningful person within our community. We have worked with other facilities within the nation, and typically they've found the transitional period is 14 to 18 months. We wouldn't have any idea the length of time here. We have developed very strict rules and guidelines that each one of our guests will adhere to, or they will be immediately removed from the property. We have, as you can see, our initial proposal is 8 homes. On the left side of the screen is our Welcome Center, which will also house a caretaker. We will have a caretaker on the grounds 24/7, 365 days a year. The parking that you see is parallel there with Jefferson Boulevard, excuse me. The rear facility will be what our view would be as a rec room, a laundry room, so to speak, for the residents that they can utilize, because the homes will have bare necessities. There will be a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, a living area in each home. But as Greg mentioned, initially we're looking at 350 to 400 square feet. We have involved both Mishwaka and PHM architectural students. We plan on allowing them to be intricate in the design phase of this and the execution phase of it. Since launching our website and fundraiser in November of last year, we've raised over $170,000, which includes a nonprofit sponsoring the first home built. So the community is very behind our efforts here, and they recognize that. I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Is there questions for Mr. Metherd?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Have you had discussion with the neighbors in that, and how are they for it, or they have any?
We have had
questions?
discussions. We had a open door meeting at the VFW where Mike Compton hosted it, and there were quite a few of the residents that came. Questions and answers session. There were some residents at the previous meeting tonight that expressed a lot of concern with the parking, because we asked for the variance on the parking, because we propose 8 homes. We don't feel that's going to be a necessity, because we don't feel that every one of the guests will have a vehicle. The VFW has pledged to, anytime overflow is necessary, we can utilize their property directly right across the street. And I believe that the property to the north, or excuse me, Borley, that's open for parking, that street as well. But yes, there has been some opposition. There has. Everybody is bought off on our mission. Everybody loves our mission if it's built somewhere else.
Yeah, have you satisfied any of the needs other than building someplace else? I mean, were there any other questions or concerns other than moving it someplace else or the parking?
No,
Those
sir.
are the 2 mainstays?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome,
it.
sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Method? No, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, members.
Okay, on petition 21-21, is there anybody else in the room or online wishing to speak in favor of that petition? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Is there anybody in the room wishing to speak against the petition at hand, which is 21-21? Hi, we're going to do this one at a time from left to right. Ma'am? Over. Yep, or, I'm sorry, yeah, we can do it this way, too. Hi, name and address, please.
Hello, hi, my name is Jose Montes de Oca, 1315 East Borley Avenue. Good evening. Just wanted to let you guys know that this affects me. I am the first property house next to the proposed site. Like I told the president, I told him it's a good idea as far as helping homeless vets. I am a soldier myself with the Army National Guard. I just think it's not a perfect fit or a fit for it to be an established resident already in a residential area. Just concerns of just the transient people coming in and out, who are going to be coming in and out. Just basic necessities for them to have. There's no stores or within walking distance, so it's going to be, they're going to have to need transportation to move around. The VFW is across the street, and if we were trying to help these homeless vets, and if they're trying to get their life back on track, a concern is we don't want them going across the road to have a drink and fall back into their old ways when they're trying to get help. Again, it is a good idea, just not in that specific area. That's my only concern.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Mr. Montes de Oca? Nope, thank you very much. Next. We will be accumulating all these questions for a rebuttal. Thank you.
Jill Schroeder, Schroeder, 1316 East Jefferson. Speaking like this is not my thing, but I'm going to do my best. I live right in front of Jose. He lives behind me. So we are the two who will be most affected by this. I love the program. I think it's a wonderful program. I'm all about helping these veterans. I come from a family of veterans. However, I just don't feel that this is the place for it. We have a promise that it's going to be monitored. We have a promise that, things are going to be screened. And I trust these men. I've met them. I admire what they're doing. But all we have is a promise. I'm 66 years old. I live by myself. I'm concerned. I hope that there's no issues. I just feel like this is the house that I grew up in. I have lived in this neighborhood my entire life. I've seen the improvement over the years that, the redevelopment back on Borley that took place in, I think, in the 90s. Beautiful homes. And then the property directly behind me that my mother owned that sold the lots to the city for first-time buyers. That's where Jose lives. That's where the Richies live. They're beautiful homes. They're well-maintained. Everyone in that area takes great pride in their homes. I don't know what we're going to be looking at. Jim did share with me some recent drawings. To me, all those are drawings. Again, those are promises. And maybe those are good promises, but that's all we really have right now. I think, I guess my thought is, I would think that we could find a place where maybe this would be better suited. And I guess the final comment that I have is, I guess I would have to ask everyone here, with the exception of my neighbors, are any of you going to have this next door to you? And again, I think it's a wonderful program. I want to support it. There's just too many questions in my mind. And this will be right next to me. I will look at this the rest of my life because I intend to live there the rest of my life. So I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Schroeder.
Am I done?
Yep, you did very well. Next, please.
Good evening. I am Marcy Ritchie, 1327 East Borley Avenue. As we've been hearing, great idea. Love the concept. And, it is important. I don't want to dismiss that. I think Jill just made a really good point. Would you want it next to where you're living? We're looking at property values. I mean, I'll just put it out there. We don't know how this will affect that. One of my biggest concerns is that area is all single-family dwellings. If this were an apartment complex, even a small 4-unit thing, I'd be having some of the same concerns of something like that going in a single-family residential area. All along Borley there's about 3 years' worth of first-time homebuyer houses. I think that began in 2006. The city's put a lot into that area. I've lived there for 13 years now, and I know that program helped me out a lot. The city is, Jill was thinking it was in the 90s, I don't know, but to the west of Merrifield, back in that area, again, there was a lot of focus and resources put in by the city in that area to build up and rejuvenate that area. And we have the Habitat for Humanity neighborhood then on the east over by Burkett. So with all of that in mind, I just think that this doesn't fit in here. And I do have the concern of how it will affect the property values. We did talk about some parking in the previous meeting, but that is still a concern. The VFW does use that lot for overflow parking. There are a lot of events there. We heard in rebuttal that there's certain group that won't be holding events there anymore, but there's still a lot of activity at the VFW. They are, as he said, open 7 days a week. And was even mentioned that Borley Avenue is used for overflow parking as well. Well, if that lot is gone, then it's going to affect a lot more than Borley. And there's going to be Maplehurst, Lynn, all those areas in that residential area. You're going to have a lot of people parking and walking. So those are my two biggest concerns right there. I did have some questions that maybe could be taken care of in the rebuttal. I was wondering, will these units, I mean, they sound small, so I'm assuming it's a single person, that it wouldn't be, somebody else could move in with them, or, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or their child, if they end up transitioning and they have kids or whatever. I just want to make sure that that's, what we're looking at is 8 people and not more, if that could be more. The immediate action on the strict, policies that they'll have, would be real interested to see what those strict policies are. And I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that during the shutdown of the COVID-19 pandemic, I know there were no evictions allowed in apartment complexes, and I'm wondering how that sort of thing could potentially affect, if someone breaks these violations, are they going to be able to actually remove that person? There could be things in place because of COVID restrictions and mandates and how everything's been the last couple of years. So that's a concern. Again, kind of like what Jill said, we're being told these things and they sound great, but when it comes right down to it, what is it going to be? And those of us that are right there within, the block are going to be the ones affected the most with that. 2 other concerns, not concerns, or just questions, I guess I'd like clarification. The first meeting, you came up and you mentioned that it moving the project from the VFW, just west of the VFW to across the street, would be a $200,000 savings, and then during this meeting you said it was a $400,000 savings to move it across. So I would like some verification on that. And also would just like to point out that, yes, it's a savings for the VFW, but at what cost to the neighbors and the residents in that area? And as far as the open door meeting goes, I didn't know anything about this project until the city sent me the notice about this hearing for December. So I live right around the corner. I'm 2 doors down from Jose, the first man, who's right next door to this project, and I hadn't heard from the VFW about any of this. So
Okay.
that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next? Against? Come on up.
I'll make mine short and sweet, okay? Because you've heard a lot. My name's Tammy McCullough, 1321 East Borley. So I don't have a lot to say, because you've all heard it one time over. I guess my concern is I think it's a great project.
Ms. McCullough, but this is a different committee, so if there's anything you want to
Okay.
reiterate from
Okay.
the
Okay.
Zoning Board of Appeals, feel free to do so.
Okay, well, that's fair. I guess one of the thoughts that I had was that it seems like a small lot for that many houses, in my opinion. I know that they said it was 300 to 400 square feet or what have you, but why don't we start small and see how it plays out first? And then we can add to it. Or secondly, it is a small corner lot, so that is a little concerning to me. And we have development just down the road that is for Habitat Homes, that's just, and it's real close to that Martin store. So if these individuals are handicapped, they can just go around the corner and they can go to the Marathon and get some groceries that they need instead of being across the street on a corner lot.
Yeah, we just got to keep the conversation to this lot. that
Okay,
we're-
okay, so yeah, that's my thought. is
Okay.
I don't, yeah, it just seems like a lot of homes in a small
The size.
lot.
Okay, we'll have them address that.
That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough.
Okay.
Oh, yep. Oh, Ms. McCullough, we have a question for you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I walked away.
No, I was the one who didn't see it.
Just a question. The other presenter said that she wasn't notified of the meeting or any contact with the VFW. Have you had contact with them, or were you informed?
They did.
Okay,
They sent me an envelope.
Okay.
Yes, I did receive that, and they did have an open meeting, yes.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, against. Come on up. Hi, name and address?
Hi, my name's Jason Kuspa. This is Mary Sisti. Our address is 1127 East Borley Avenue.
Okay, hold on one second. I need to make sure that Carrie's got this. Okay.
Hi. So again, broken record, the program sounds like a wonderful idea. Veterans make America great, so I'm happy for that. Some of my concerns I have though, is they're homeless vets, and we don't know why they're homeless. There could be underlying reasons, maybe PTSD, alcoholism, something that's keeping them on the streets. I'm concerned of having a place where they're coming to. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and the neighborhood that we live in is nice. She can walk when the lights are, street lights are on, and I feel safe about that. So that's one of my biggest concerns is there's a lot of children in that area, and I'm worried about their safety. And he has mentioned that there's going to be like a stringent checklist and interview process, but when people are on the street and want to get into a house, I mean, you're going to say whatever the interviewee wants to hear to get there. So that's a concern. Also, and if, he also mentioned if something happens, we're going to get them out right away. But what if whatever happened was something happened to one of the children there, or like my daughter or something? You can't really take that back, So those are some of the concerns that I have about that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you gave us some of the rules that the residents are going to be adhering to, like the no guns. I love that. That was a big concern of mine. However, that's right. It's like we have set rules. My daughter goes to Adams High School, and there are very strict rules for the school where the kids go and they're learning, right? But we just had a stabbing in the bathroom, and it's scary. This is a world where there's a lot of what ifs, and to open up a lot of what ifs in just a block away from my home, where I am a mom, where I work night shift, and I'm alone during the day. I have a daughter who comes home, and she has really good friends next door and down the road where she's walking by herself. And I mean, it just takes one time for something to go wrong. And I know that you mentioned that they don't have transportation. So a lot of these transitional residents are going to be walking, I'm assuming, and walking in the same area where my daughter walks. So this is just one example of what might happen if something were to go wrong. And to me, that is one of my main concerns. I mean, the parking, yes. The overflow, yes. I mean, that's an issue as well. But it's more of the safety is my concern. As a small residential area where I'm noticing a lot more development over the course of the 15 years that I've been here. Development. And when's it going to become where it's now just still a quiet place where I can call my home and not feel like I'm so afraid of my daughter going outside. Again, I am all in support of these homeless veterans who definitely need to have someone to be picking them off the streets and giving them a second chance. However, I would like to have a lot more options for these veterans to be living in Mishwaka. I think that there is a space and area for them, but I personally don't think it should be in a place where we are going to be having safety as a concern for a little residential area. Thank you.
Just the fact that it's transitional too, it's like, that like increases the odds of something happening. So like, you might have like, everyone makes that transition and helps them out, but, I feel like that might add to the odds of something negative happening.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room wishing to speak against the petition 21-21?
Chairman, Mike Compton, 232 Stanley Street. I'm not going to speak in favor or against. I'm the city councilman that represents that district. I just got some comments I want to make, though. Mishwaka has a long history of supporting veterans, especially in my district. Normain Heights was built to welcome veterans back from World War II. And if you look south of Normain Heights, a lot of that was built right after World War II to house veterans. I think we have a great opportunity here to kind of continue that process. Now, it sounds like I'm speaking in favor. But if the VFW can't get on board with the neighbors, I don't think this will pass the council. I don't know if it'll pass here. But if they can't get on board with the neighbors, then I just don't think it'll pass the council. So I think there's some work to do. I think that there's some work for the VFW. Yes, we did meet once. Yes, I did ask for that meeting. I did ask for the neighbors to tell all the neighbors about it. It appears some may not have got that word. I offer my support still, facilitate meetings between the two groups, and to see if there's something that can be done, some guarantees that can be made. Maybe there's process that you want in place that will make sure that this is a safe place for everyone, including the vets. I think the idea of a veteran transitioning back within a neighborhood could be a positive thing for the vet, and maybe end up being a positive thing for the neighbors. But I certainly understand the apprehension and the questions. So again, I'm not speaking in favor or against. I'll make that decision when it comes time for me to vote at the council level. But I just wanted to make those points, and I wanted both parties to hear this.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Compton.
you for your time.
Is there any questions at this point? No, thank you. Are there any remonstrance letters?
There are none.
There are none. Okay, so we'll do a right of rebuttal, and we'll try to get you to answer all these questions, and I'll make sure you check off some of the ones on my list, too.
My name is Warren Seegers. I live at 56692 County Road 1, Elkhart. I'm the lucky one that gets to answer your questions, and thank you for bringing them to us. I appreciate that, because unless people bring us their concerns and their questions, we have no answers for them. So thank you for doing that, and we do have answers for you. Not only am I a founding member of MTT, I'm also a member of the VFW. I've been retired out of the military for just slightly over a year now, and I'm going to give you a story of a situation of what MTT would help on a personal level.
Well, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yes.
We really need to keep the right of rebuttal to answering the question.
But this is also answer a question.
Okay.
Who is going to be there?
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
and that's a big concern.
Got it.
These aren't criminals. I just have a feeling that the biggest concern is safety. Can my daughter walk down the street at night alone? We're not criminals. These will not be criminals. That's one of the things that is part of our requirement, that you cannot have any felonies. If you have a felony, you're not fit for our project. Another thing also is we know our limitations, what services we can offer and what we can't. So these are not like homeless people that have been living underneath a bridge for 10 years. These are people that have real immediate problems. An example would be, I could have used this after my last mobilization. I got back in March of 2017, and it wasn't good for me at home. When you come back from mobilization and you're used to that military lifestyle, you tend to bark at your wife, your kids, you want things done, you want it your way. This could have been a situation where if I had a place like this to go to, it could have saved my family a lot of pain. I'm just thankful that I didn't get divorced at that time. But if I had a place like this to go to, I could have got the help and counseling that I needed and still be separated from my family and make things work a lot better. But I didn't. But my wife and I, we pushed through it, and we made it. But it was rocky. So I would be an example of someone that could use a facility like this. And I wasn't going to bring this up because I'm actually bringing my own personal life scenarios out, but that's the truth of it. It could be a soldier that is moving. They could be moving from one place to another, but they don't have the money to get the rent, to pay the utilities to get started. They might only be there for 3 weeks while they get established in the area. I think what we're tending to do here is we are looking at the very worst scenario possibility and not what actually in reality is going to be the situation. The requirements that we have, we will make those public to you. That is not a problem at all. But one of the questions was, how many people will live in one of these structures? One. Only one. There's no girlfriends that are going to be in there. They can't have overnight guests because that just ruins the situation for that individual. We're there to help them, and we don't want any outside interference coming into this plan. They will have a strict plan that they have to follow. They have to have checks. They're going to sit down with someone once a week. Where are you at on your plan to get you back on your feet? This isn't just, hey, you're homeless, here's a house. There is a procedure that we are going to follow to make sure that they do get on their feet. They're not criminals. They're not convicts. They're not coming out of jail. I just feel like a lot that I heard is, we're worried these are convicts. They're not. These are just regular people trying to get back into civilian life and make a living and do something positive for their community in the same part. These people that will come and be our guests could possibly end up buying one of your homes around you. One of the concerns was that MTT is going to bring down the property value. My wife is a real estate agent, and that's not even a possibility that it could do that. Homes are based on comps, based on other houses in the area. Your own homes have a better chance of lowering the property value than MTT because they don't base it on MTT, on these little homes. They base it on prices of houses in that area. And that's a fact. And then it's assessed value. And I'm sure many of you are fully aware of that also. The houses are going to be 875 square feet, okay? One person, one car. If they don't have transportation, there is public transportation in the area, so that shouldn't be a problem.
My apologies. 375 square feet, not 875.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I got old eyes, sorry. But we also have a vehicle that has been donated to us that will be on site, that will be signed out by our guests. They just can't take the keys and go wherever they want. Everything is going to be overlooked. We're going to have a curator on site living there 24/7, making sure that nothing's going wrong in the housing. Let's see, what other public transportation?
There was a question about clarifying the savings amount from the previous.
Okay, that was basic. The property that we were looking at was $180,000. It was going to take us, we're guesstimating anywhere $275,000 to $300,000 to actually prep the land. I don't know if you're familiar with the property, but it has a really big hill that goes down in the back, which you would have to level out that land, bring dirt in, then you have the drainage that you have to take care of so it's not going to the other neighbors. So the cost of actually prepping the land, flattening it, getting it ready to build, would be extremely a large
So the
amount of
reason
money.
you're moving from this to this proposed spot is because of a savings of what, a couple numbers were thrown out.
Right, so that property was going to cost us $180,000. This current property is costing us only $75,000. So the other part of the savings is prepping the land, the old property. The amount of money it would cost to get that ready to even build was going to be about $275,000 is what we were, estimating. This new property across from the VFW is flat. So there would not have to be a lot of grading and preparation to be able to start building.
Okay, and another question I have that was asked a couple times is how are you going to uphold your policy enforcements? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
We have a board. We have a working board, which is made up of Jim, myself, and Dan Gant. We are the ones that are going to be checking on the property. Jim is actually going to be our first live on-site curator. So he'll be checking in with the residents daily. And according to their plan that we have, they're going to have to go through a whole, not just an interview process of getting to be able to be a guest, but they have to have a packet that actually helps them work toward their goals. That means if we're going to set them up with VA appointments for behavior health, whatever, they're going to have to go through classes on employment. They're going to have to do so many applications a week. There's going to be a checks and balance on this at all times to make sure that they're just not sitting in our homes. And if they exceed our limits, so we're looking at 14 to 20 months, if they have not made the goal by month 20, you're done. Because we can't we can't help them forever. They have to have some skin in the game here, and if they're not working forward and making progress on bettering themselves, then we're going to have to let them go and tell them to leave. And I know there was a concern about how do you get rid of somebody because of COVID and you can't just kick people out of an apartment. Well, they're not renters. They are guests. They're not paying rent at all. So they're there on a contractual agreement that certain things are going to happen in their life to get them on their feet, and if they don't do those things, they have to leave.
Okay, thank you. And is there any questions
Yes.
for Mr. Zegers?
Yes.
What is the size of that lot?
Jim, do you know what the?
0.75 acre,
Do you know, like, the dimensions?
138 by 280. Greg, do you have that?
Whoever answers the question, I'm going to have you come up and answer it on the microphone so we can have it on record, please.
I have it, Greg. I was close. The dimensions are 116 feet going east to west, 283 feet going north to south.
So is it two lots, two city lots?
It's one lot, ma'am.
It's all just one lot?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. White-Gadich, does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Zegers?
I have
Mr. Emmons?
a couple
Yes, sir.
questions for you. First of all, are there any of your members, either on this committee or members of VFW, live in that area?
No, but I would actually, I have offered, I have a lot, but the problem is a lot of the concerns you have, transportation, how are they going to get to the store? The lot that I have is landlocked also, but I would offer it, and it's right next to my house. I would live next door to something like this. Absolutely.
But you don't right now.
No, I do not, but I do live next to Habitat housing. I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah.
Not at all. I know people do, but I don't.
Okay.
It's a great thing.
Another question, when you first came to the council about this proposal of building this type of facility and that, you said it was going to be built kind of behind the VFW, or,
Directly to, if you're facing the VFW,
Yeah.
it would be directly to the right.
yeah. And did you search this out of what it would cost before you came to the council? Because that is a concern, that the people in that area wondered why all of a sudden you couldn't afford it. I mean, did you do your research of knowing what it would cost to build
Yes, sir.
that development?
That's
Before
why-
you came to the council?
Yes, sir. That's why we had that, what it was going to cost. And it was it was a word agreement with the other property, but many of us are members of the VFW, so we knew that the property was there, and they were looking possibly to sell it in the future anyway. So that's when we offered them 75. So
Now,
that was
when you
part
say
of the
75
reason.
across the street or the
Yes,
one-
sir.
No,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about the land
No.
that you had, that you were proposing to do a couple years ago when you came to the council.
Yeah, the land, the properties, you could see the properties from one to the other, so I'm not sure what the deal is, why it makes a big difference going from one side of the street to the other side.
I'm just, no, they mentioned the
Yeah.
cost in that, and I'm just wondering,
Currently, sir,
why?
on the previous property, what Warren didn't mention is, there are 3 structures on it. So there are 2 homes and a previous business. All of that would have had to been removed. And that is all factored in the 275 that third-party group gave us just a rough estimate of doing.
Okay. Did you express that to the group?
I'm sorry, did I
At your
express
meeting
that?
that you had, did you explain that to the
I don't believe
committee?
it was asked. I don't have the minutes with me.
Okay, well, I'm just going on because they were concerned about why it came from one figure to another figure that's so much
Oh,
more.
I'm certain that we said savings, sir, absolutely. Because we're a nonprofit, so we're working with the community's donations and dollars, and we felt that to get this mission going, to manage their donated dollars was essential. One property that would cost us over $400,000 before we plant one piece of wood into the ground versus another property for $75,000 that's virtually ready to build on. That's when the decision was made. And honestly, I truly, sir, I presented in June of 2020, and we had no opposition whatsoever.
No, I just said,
And
'cause
we're 100 yards away now, and we're getting the opposition, and honestly, I'm baffled. I'm not sure why. Because there was none of these guests here. None of the guests were here at the last presentation.
Yep. Hold on. We'll just continue asking questions.
okay, also,
Mr. Emmons,
you say you're a
Go ahead.
nonprofit, so
Yes, sir.
you're going to be nonprofit, the facility is nonprofit in the sense that you're paying taxes and everything like that?
We are already established a 501c3, sir,
Okay,
with the IRS, internal, and the state of Indiana.
okay, so there'd be no property tax, basically?
No, sir.
Okay. And you feel you have the amount of dollars behind you to keep the upkeep of that piece of property and that facility?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Here again, I'm playing the devil's advocate. What happens if you don't have the money and you have that facility there? What happens to it? Since it's a
Hopefully we'll never
nonprofit?
encounter that, sir.
You know, I can say, I'm just trying to get all the answers and
Yes, sir.
so that when I'm approached, I can say yay
Yes,
or
sir.
nay.
Hopefully we'll never encounter that, but we have a lot of nonprofit organizations. We have verbal commitments from the trade union that they're going to put up all the buildings free of charge for us. All we have to do is get the material. We have so many unofficial pledges from other nonprofits and business people in the area. Everybody we speak to, it's just, oh my goodness, when you launch this, let us know. We don't anticipate any problem funding it forever.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the rebuttal from the commissioners?
I just had a quick comment on the property values. I understand what you're saying about the assessed values and using comparable sales to get to the value of the properties in the neighborhood. those comparable sales will come from those neighborhoods for the sales that'll be happening in that neighborhood for these homes. If people are paying less for those homes, those decreased sales values will be used as comps. So you're correct that they use comparable sales, but a decrease in value can still happen. I don't know if it will be a decrease in value or an increase in value, but I think we don't have a crystal ball to say that it absolutely will not happen.
One of the things that they were concerned about is what will these homes look like? This is an example of what we're looking at. I can't be 100% obvious or, like they're going to look exactly like this. But, we're to the point where we have to make sure that we have the property first. But this is what we're looking at. Here's another.
Yeah, Mr. Ziegler,
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to have to keep this to just answering
Okay,
questions
all right.
that we have.
But they did ask what the homes were, they were worried about the homes, what they would look like.
Yeah, they did, but now we're answering
Oh,
questions
okay,
from
I got
from
you.
us.
Understand,
So
sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Ziegler from the commission?
I just have another comment. I absolutely love your idea of what you want to do. Personally, I'm not so crazy about putting it right there in that neighborhood right there, right where you're putting it.
And I understand that, but, we're probably going to get that just about everywhere we go.
Okay, any other questions for the rebuttal? Hearing none, is there any remonstrance letters?
None.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And this closes the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to commission discussion. Anybody got some thoughts they want to share just amongst the commissioners? Mr. Emmons.
Thank you. I agree that it is a very, very neat project, and it would help our veterans. But I also have to take in consideration of the neighbors, their concerns. I don't think all the questions have been answered to the satisfaction of the community where it's going into. And that's nothing against the organization. It's just that we have two factions. We have the vets and we have the neighbors that are concerned. You need to mesh both of them to have a community that welcomes the vets. If you have a community that is against it, they're not going to welcome them. And that could enhance it or make your project fail. So I'm torn. Like I say, I like the program. I'm just concerned of where it's going to be for the affecting of the neighbors and that. So I'm going to have to do some soul searching. So tonight, I think I'm going to have to go with the neighbors and that until I can see from you and the neighbors that you're working together and that. And like I say, it's not personal. It's not against the vets. It's just that I think we need to get everybody on the same page and that. So again, I commend what you were doing, but I also have concern for the neighbors. Thank you.
Woody, I 100% agree that there's unanswered questions, but if they were to move in any neighborhood, we're going to be faced with the exact same.
I'm not asking to move. I'm asking
I
them
understand
to
that.
come to some kind of agreement.
I'm making a statement. It's an opinion,
Yeah.
but no matter where they go, they're going to face opposition, I feel like. So yes, there's questions that probably need to be answered and addressed with the neighbors to make sure that there is some peace of mind given, but I just want to, it's going to be, we'll be spinning our wheels if they move into another area.
But you never know.
Yeah.
Well, this
No,
area.
no, we closed the public hearing, so we just,
The area where they're going though is right there in the middle of, you got the newer homes going in over there. It's just a strange place for this. There's got to be better areas, better places.
and I wanted to personally thank Mr. Compton for coming in and giving us his comments. I really appreciated those, and it was good of you to come in and give your point of view. I think it was very valuable. So, without any further ado or any other discussion, I will take a motion on petition 21-21. Somebody's got to do something
I've got a
here.
question slash
Okay.
maybe point of clarification to be made. Can we vote to move this out so that the questions that are unanswered can be answered and addressed? What is the,
Mr.
What's the
President,
policy on that?
yes, you have the ability to continue it, yes. At least once, I have to go back and look at state law regarding there is a minimum time, and they've already continued it once, but since the first continuance is at their request, I think you have the ability to continue it at least once.
But usually that does get pulled by the people, and not by us as recommendations, is what I.
If you have unanswered questions, if you can be specific about what they are, I think that would be a prudent thing. I didn't hear anything that wasn't, that a continuance would benefit from, but that's just me personally.
If we don't have a second, Mr. President, it just kind of died.
There's not a,
Not a vote. Yeah.
I mean, we need.
It's dead. It'll go to the council then, but there'll be no recommendation from this body.
Yeah, but I would prefer that, I would prefer that we do our job here, and either you're for it or against it, either you
Right,
vote.
but I'm just saying, if we don't have a second, if nobody wants to make a second it, then there's no referral from this council, from this body.
Yeah, well,
I move that we deny.
is there a second to that?
I second.
We have a move to deny by Murray Wynn and Kathy White Gottich. Carrie, will you poll the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose,
No.
Mary Wynn,
Yes.
Woody Evans,
Yes.
Chris Nowalski,
No.
Sam Pressy,
No.
Nick Triola,
No.
Chris Torti,
Yes.
Dale Freeman,
No.
Kathleen White Gaddich.
Yes.
4, right? So this will move forward with no decision.
No,
No.
so you have to make a motion, then we need a motion the other direction and a revote.
You can't make it positive.
Okay,
So the only time that we send no recommendation is when we don't have a quorum to send that recommendation. We have a statutory, so just to fill the audience in, this is an advisory board regarding rezoning. So what their responsibility is to make a recommendation to the common council, who ultimately makes a decision. So really, we just need a recommendation in favor or against, and knowing the council and having council representation on the planning commission, they'll consider whether, I mean, right now, it appears to be split 5-4. They'll consider that as part of the recommendation that they receive. So,
this is going to move forward as a 5-4
no,
split?
you need an official vote to take it forward with that recommendation. Right now,
Okay.
it failed on the denial.
Okay.
Based on a 5-4. So essentially, we need one of the 5 to
I
step up.
don't think I should make that a motion. I think it should be.
I understand. So we can revote for taking it forward. So right now, we had a motion, and that motion failed. We need a motion in the other direction, so a vote can be taken. And there's a reason why there's 9 members, is so that it will move forward one way or another. If we had 8 right now, then not moving it forward.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion, another motion on 21-21.
Yes.
Correct.
I move to approve petition 2121.
Second. Get a vote.
Carrie, would you please poll the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose,
Yes.
Mary Wynn,
No.
Woody Evans,
No.
Chris Nowalski,
Yes.
Sam Pressy,
Yes.
Nick Triola,
Yes.
Chris Torti,
No.
Dale Freeman,
Yes.
Kathleen White Gaddich.
No.
So it will move forward to the council with a favorable recommendation identified as 5 votes for and 4 votes against.
Okay, so that's how it will move to the council. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, which is Plat 21-15, a request.
Kent, excuse me, just a second.
Yes.
Kent, For those that are here, do you know when that comes before the council?
I don't have the dates in front of me, but typically it would be the first meeting, the first Monday in February. And if there's. First reading. No, the first reading would actually be your next meeting, Mike, and then the actual hearing would be the first meeting in February. Correct. Correct.
That's what I gotta go with.
We'll just take a 2-second break here.
They said they would
Actually, I'm going to move for a 3-minute break. Sitting in that
Hey, you haven't dinner brought yet?
The agenda here is Plat 21-15, a request submitted by RJF Auto T Properties LLC seeking approval of the one-lot Lexus minor subdivision. Hello.
Good evening, Greg Sharon, Dan Charter Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive, South Bend. Here tonight representing RFJ Auto T Properties LLC, seeking approval for a one-lot Lexus minor subdivision. The subdivision is just south of the existing Lexus dealership on Grape Road. As you probably noticed, if you've driven up there, they've kind of taken over that lot and put in expanded their sales lot for vehicle sales. What they're planning on doing is repaving that parking lot, and so just to put in cross-access easements, dedicate additional right-of-way, and some utility easements. The city requested that we subdivide the property to include all those easements, so this is what I'm here tonight to present this one-lot subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Sharon. Any questions? Nope, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of Plat 21-15? Hearing none, is there anybody wishing to speak against Plat 21-15? Hearing none, that closes the public hearing. And any discussion or any letters, Derek?
None.
Commission discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote on 21-15.
I motion to approve Plat 2115.
Kathy White, got it?
Second.
Second, Sam Cressy. No? Oh, Dale, you got it.
No, Chris.
Oh, all right.
I was
Chris.
quiet for once.
Okay, please call for a vote.
Chris Jammer?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Tim Cressy?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White Getters?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. That brings us to Plat 21-17, a request submitted by Bocart Properties LLC seeking approval of 3-lot Bocart property minor
No,
subdivision.
you skipped one.
Oops, I did skip it. Plat 21-16, a request submitted by Kruk Real Estate Holdings LLC seeking the approval of the 2-lot Kruk minor subdivision. Hello.
Good evening, Greg Sharon, Dan Turner Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive. Here tonight representing Kruk Real Estate Holdings LLC, seeking approval for a 2-lot minor subdivision. What we're planning on doing is right now on the property, there's is existing automotive commercial establishment on McKinley Avenue, and then existing house on, what's that street?
Lynn.
Lynn, sorry, excuse me. So what we're planning on doing is, right now, both the house and the commercial building are on one lot. What we're planning on doing is just subdividing into 2 lots, so the house is on a separate lot. So that's what the subdivision is for. We included all.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Sharon? Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of petition of Plat 21-16? Anyone wishing to speak against Plat 21-16? Any other comments, Derek?
None.
Spear?
No.
No? Okay, that closes the public hearing, and we will go right to any discussion. Hearing no discussion, I will ask for a vote on 21.
I move that we approve Plat 2116.
Murray Wynn.
Second.
Nick Drill. Carrie, thank you. Please call roll.
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Sam Cressy?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathy Weckett?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. That brings us to Plat 21-17, which sounds familiar. A request submitted by Bocart Properties LLC seeking approval of the 3-lot Bocart property minor subdivision. Thought I'd plug Bocarts a few more times.
Terry Lang from Lang Feeney Whiteman, and we are here with a petition for Bocart Properties. There are 3 buildings located on 2 parcels. We are reconfiguring the parcels to accommodate a building on each lot. We were before the Board of Zoning Appeals earlier for a series of about 15 variances because of the configuration of the existing buildings, parking lots that are associated there. And Mr. Bocart's here if you have any questions with regards for it. We do have a buyer. He has indicated for each of the 3 parcels, so.
Nice. Great. Any questions for Mr. Lang or Mr. Bocart?
The easement is basically the driveway to get back to the one lot?
Actually, the easement is for the driveway to go all the way across for vehicles to go from Main Street. Because of the size of the buildings and the close proximity of them, it will allow larger vehicles to be able to go without having to worry about doing a turnaround.
Okay. That makes sense. Just, I wasn't sure exactly how that worked. Thank you.
It was set up so that they could go from Main Street all the way to Spring Street without having to worry about doing a turnaround.
Okay, thank you.
Makes sense, thank you. Anybody else in favor? Do you have any comments or anything, Mr. Bocart?
Maurice Bocart, 16400 Kern Road, Mishwaka, Indiana, 46544. No, the fire department requested that there not be any fencing put up or anything, that the Main to Spring Street needs to remain open, which will make all the Belmont customers very happy in the neighborhood to do that. But yeah, we do, a local doctor with a small car collection similar to Mr. Mittler is purchasing 403 South Main, so it will go back to its original purpose in life, which is storing really beautiful automobiles. And then the tenant that's been in 411 South Main for over a year is going to purchase that building, and they have really no parking needs. And then another gentleman's going to purchase the big, long, red, old freight terminal for the railroad building. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bocart? Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of Plat 21-17? Is there anybody wishing to speak against Plat 21-17? Hearing none, that closes the public hearing. Any commission discussion? Hearing none, I will seek out a motion for 21-17.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Plat 2117 as presented by the petitioners.
Good, Dale Freeman,
Second.
Sam Cressy. Thank you, Carrie. Please call the vote.
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yes.
Chris Zabowski?
Yes.
Sam Tressy?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathy White Gaddich?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. Next on the agendas, we have site plans which do not have a public hearing. Site Plan 21-09, a request for final site plan approval from GLC MAP McKinley Trust for a 9,289 square foot multi-tenant building at 422 West McKinley Avenue. Note that this was continued from the December 14th meeting. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Ballard with Dan Charner Associates, located at 1643 Commerce Drive in South Bend, and I am representing GLC MAP Trust, McKinley Trust, and also Allrig USA, who is the contingent developer purchaser. I had a 30-minute presentation, but I'm just going to keep it to my usual 2 minutes. Anyway. Earlier,
Jeff gets paid by the hour. I just wanted that noted.
yeah, and I didn't have to do much to sit here. Anyway. So late last year, we successfully rezoned this property to C1 and removed some of the automobile-oriented uses of that zoning, and also had a land use variance included with that to allow for 3-unit tenants with a drive-through with this particular development. Reason for not having it, reason for continuing it last month is we were waiting on some design issues and some development issues from the developer and the architect, which we now received, and we were able to complete a full set of engineering plans, which we have submitted to engineering. Also in that time frame, the city asked us to dedicate 10-foot of right-of-way and include a right turn lane to facilitate better access to the site. And we have also done that. Also within that time frame, a plat was approved for this parcel with utility easements to the north. I think a 5-foot non-access easement on the east side of the property. We were able then to take our utilities to the north into that utility easement, and we've also extended city services. I think one of them actually is private, but we've extended sewer and water from east to west so that we could access utilities to the north, which made things easier for us to develop and engineer the site and not really alter McKinley much more than the utility or the turning lane. We do have a landscape, we do have comments from planning for a landscape plan, which is, meets code, and lighting plan, which meets code. We have a few parking spaces more than is required. I think 75 is required. I think we have 86. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions on the site plan for Mr. Ballard? None, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so no public hearing. That rolls right into any discussions or comments. Don't hear any?
No additional comment.
Okay, I'll take a motion on 21-09 site plan.
Mr. President, I move to approve site plan 21-09.
Chris Zabowski,
Second.
second, Nick, Bill. Carrie, please call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
and that passes unanimously, bringing us to site plan 21-12, a request for final site plan approval. Oh, did I miss one again?
11.
Unbelievable. Site plan 21-11, a request for final site plan approval from GW Mishwaka II LLC for a 2,094 square foot restaurant with drive-through facilities at the vacant lot east of 5505 Grape Road.
Good evening. Mike Huber, Aben Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. This proposed development is part of a larger development you've seen here before this evening as well. This is in front of ABC Warehouse. We've also subdivided this and created a new lot for a Valvoline Insonato oil change just north of this. And we're relocating the existing access drive from basically the south line of this property just to the north of this, creating a new access into the ABC. In our comments back from planning and engineering, we understand we have to go through all of the detailed processes of basically abandoning the existing ingress-egress from Grape into the property, replatting that. The plat's basically completed. We're waiting for final recording of the document that makes the existing easement go away, and then hopefully the plat will be recorded, but it's been approved. Again, this is we worked with city engineering to create a site plan that accommodates the traffic coming in off of Grape Road and directs folks kind of in towards the front of the property. So we've got adequate stacking and minimal interruption and opportunities to create any traffic backups onto the road. We're also dedicating right-of-way at the front of the property to accommodate any potential future intersection improvements that might happen in the area.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Huber? Thank you.
Thanks.
Any discussion or notes?
None.
Okay, I'll accept a motion on Site Plan 21-11.
I motion to approve site plan 21-11.
Kathy White.
Second.
Second, Woody Emmons. Carrie, please call the vote.
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Mary Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yeah.
Chris Zabowski?
Yes.
Sam Pressing?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Chris Carney?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitehead?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously, bringing us to Site Plan 21-12, a request for final site plan approval from GLC MAP Mckinley Trust for 1,250 square foot restaurant with drive-through facilities north of 2315 Grape Road.
Good evening, Mike Huber, Aben Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. This is just to the northeast of the project that was right before me before. We're creating a new Smoothie King restaurant here. You've seen this. This is the third time you've seen this. We've rezoned this. We've platted this as well. We worked with city engineering to kind of find the location. They had some real concerns about us accessing the Grape ingress-egress. That's kind of the south boundary of this property. So we've kind of relocated the entrance, and we're not accessing that at all. Actually, we're coming in from the northwest corner of the property up here. The Smoothie King operators, they're in the room this evening if you have any questions for them. They pointed out to me in a previous meeting, I think they're ranked in the top 10 globally in terms of their ability to operate and get customers through in their operation standards. So we've got a great operator, great local business, and this is, I think, a site plan that meets city engineering, and we've got a couple comments. We might have to come back for a design review based on what the final materials look like on the outside, but overall, we're comfortable with the comments that engineering and city planning gave us. So.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Nope, thank you. Okay, I'll call for a motion on 21-12.
I motion to approve
Second.
21-12.
Kathy and Dale. Sorry. Call for
I
a,
missed the second, I'm sorry.
Dale Freeman.
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Mary Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Emmons?
Yeah.
Chris Zabowski?
Yes.
Sam Pressing?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Chris Carney?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitehead?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously, bringing us to Site Plan 21-13, a request for final site plan approval from Mcmahon LLC and Pucci Properties LLC for a 11,400 square foot two-tenant building at the southwest corner of Merrifield Avenue and Jerome Street. Hi. Come up and give us your name and address and tell us what you got here.
Hi, my name is Seth Barr. I'm at 8065 Vineyard Parkway, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I am here representing Bosch Architecture, who did the architecture and engineering for this project. This is a 11,400 square foot two-tenant building with a Stanley steamer being on the left side of the screen that you see, and then there'll be a leased out space on the right, which is to be determined who will be there. We've already gone through preliminary review. We've received comments from planning, engineering, fire department, and those have all been addressed. And if they haven't been addressed, they're in the works right now. So everything should be satisfied through planning and engineering and design. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Great. Questions for Mr. Barr? Thank you.
Yeah.
Any comments or further information?
None.
No. Okay, well, I will. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
I'm actually Greg Pucci. I'm representing Pucci Properties. I'm also the president of Stanley Steamer. And I just want to, first of all, usually every time we build a new facility, I like to meet with the board. I just want to tell you a little bit about Stanley Steamer really quick, and I know it's late. Stanley Steamer has been serving the Mishwaka area actually for 35 years. We have one of the oldest franchise owners that was here. He's a Mishwaka resident. He retired October 1st. I actually am one of the largest Stanley Steamer operators out of Byron Center, Michigan. I have facilities in St. Joe. We actually service, counties to the south of here. But the previous owner, when we took over on October the 1st, we didn't know where we were going to do. We handled the counties of LaPorte, Stark, Marshall, and we've been servicing those counties actually out of St. Joseph, Michigan, which is one of our facilities. So what we did is we retained all the employees that are all local residents of actually Mishwaka. And since we took over on October the 1st, we've actually hired 3 more employees that are also residents of Mishwaka. Stanley Steamer is really a great business, and we're great into the community. And I just want to take just to introduce myself to you, and I'm looking forward to being a very, very growing our business. We kind of decided, by the way, on the joint tenant, because we value also land. And our facilities are, if you've seen the plans of what the building's going to look like, it's going to be beautiful. And we want to bring some extra jobs in here also. So, thank you.
And thank you. I want to apologize for not recognizing you.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
shifting
Thank you very
between
much.
glasses, and
No, I have
probably
glasses
should get
too.
bifocals one of these
And I'm
days.
getting old, my hearing's going bad too, so.
But it sounds like they had a question here.
Yes.
No? No questions?
Thank you
Okay.
very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're really glad to be part of this community too. We could have moved Elkhart and all this. I actually love your community, so thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Okay. I will take a motion on 21-13.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Carrie, please call for the vote.
Chris Jammer?
Yes.
Mary Wynn?
Yes.
Woody Evans?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Dan Treffy?
Yes.
Chris Torti?
Yes.
Nick Triola?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathy Monk?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. Any old business?
None.
New business, we have a new face on the staff. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Prince.
Slade Shadanis, we introduced
Yep.
him in the
Yep.
meeting, so he took the new associate planner position when Krista and Derek moved up. So he started yesterday and he's still here, so.
Excellent,
Now,
excellent.
tomorrow will be the test.
Yeah, tomorrow. The other thing I want to thank the commission, I mean, I know sometimes these deliberations are hard, but I appreciated each and every one of you asking the questions and deliberating, and that is all we can ask you as citizen members or elected or appointed of what to do. So thank you for having those meaningful discussions. I think also sends a message to everybody that attended, that they, whatever their opinion was or whatever their project was, it got heard and got a fair hearing. So thank you.
Nice comment, thank you.
We also need to. appoint
Privilege of the
someone to
floor.
BZA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we got one more.
We also need an appointment from the Planning Commission to the BZA, which I believe Mr. Torti is the current holder, and since he was just nominated chairman of that, we would highly recommend that you continue with your previous appointment of Mr. Torti to that.
So moved.
So, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, and that's it, Mr. Chairman.
That passes. Privilege of the floor. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
You can get out of this if you wanted to, Chris.